Hello again. The thumbnail to this video shows something which has appeared in my YouTube studio lately. That's to say the place where I make these videos and edit them. It is the icon to a section for YouTube creator tips, which sounds useful, but it's designed only for black people with YouTube channels. It's prominently displayed on the channel dashboard and it is labelled #BlackCreators. This is a bit weird, really. Why have they done this for a YouTube creator in Britain? It is, of course, part of a trend which many viewers will have noticed, which entails making sure that as many black people as is humanly possible can be crammed into any visual image, photograph, clip of film, advertisement or news item. Watching the advertisements at the cinema these days, one seldom seems to see white people at all, which strikes many of us as a bit rummy. There is an explanation, and that is that this is part of a conjuring trick called the global majority heritage. Here's how it's played. We all know that historically advertisements, television programs and films in Britain and the United States have been populated almost exclusively by white people, yeah? But guess what? White people are a minority in the world. Very roughly, there are about 750 million people in Europe who are white, perhaps 280 million in the United States, 40 million in Canada, 26 million in Australia, and so on. All told, there are perhaps 1.1 billion white people in the world. But wait, the population of the world is around 8 billion. So that means that almost 7 out of 8 people on Earth are not white. How unfair and unrepresentative in this modern global society that we should focus only on that 1/8 of the world's people and ignore the majority, the global majority that is. So far, so good. This is all true, and you can probably make a case for this. I don't buy it myself, but that's another matter. I can see that it is possible to argue this point. However, now comes the bait and switch. It's a bit like watching the 3-card trick, and this is the moment that the Queen switches places so that you are deceived. If the global majority are not white, we should have more non-white people in things. So let's put black people in as many advertisements, films and television programs as we can, because that's more fair. Did anybody notice the switch there? It's very neatly done, but if we stop and think for a bit, we can see that something is wrong here. There are 1.2 billion people in Africa. Not all of them are black, of course. Hundreds of millions of them are in North Africa, and they're Arabs and Berbers. Suppose we say that there are around 900 million black people in Africa. We'll be generous, we'll even say there might be 1 billion black people in Africa. There are another 44 million black people of African ancestry in the Caribbean, 42 million African Americans in the United States. Add to them all the black people in Brazil of African origin and some other parts of South America, and we find we have perhaps 1.3, 1.4 billion black people of African heritage in the world. In other words, they too are a minority globally, just like white people. Something less than 1/5 of the people in the world are of black African heritage, which means, of course, that over 80% are not. Why then should that global minority be the one which is chosen over and above the rest of the world's people? In other words, why don't Arabs, Indians, Chinese people and so on make it into our advertisements? Why is it only black people? Have any of you seen any advertisements which feature only Arabs? Or only Indians or Chinese people? No. All that we have done by pushing black people in instead of white people is to replace one global minority with another. The reason for this is fairly simple, and it is that in the United States, black people, African Americans, make up a substantial percentage of the population, around 15% or 1 in 6. They're a powerful lobby there, and because they've managed to push their way in ahead of other minorities, we in this country simply copy the formula used in America, as we always copy America in so many things. And since America, the situation is there's a demand for huge overrepresentation of African Americans, that's what we'll do with black people in this country as well. Filmmakers, television producers, and advertising executives justify all this on the highfalutin grounds of fairness towards those of global majority heritage. But it's really just a racket being worked for the benefit of black people.